Hi, this is Laura, coming to you again with Understanding Asperger Syndrome, Part 3. I want to begin by saying that I don't know everything, and once again, I try to shine the light into the darkness. I don't know everything. Do you? So, got some interesting comments on Part 2, and I want to address some of those comments now. People were talking about how you can see the triad of impairment from just about any angle, and I think that's really cool because I got this image in my mind of a pyramid. You know how a pyramid is more than just a triangle. Obviously, it has a square base, and it has four sides, right? So let's say that there's a triad of impairment right here on the surface, okay? And that beneath it there's even more core information. Well, the reason that this eerie pink triangle is to remind you about the triad of impairment, which is made of the inflexible, rigid patterns, communication, socialization difficulties. Of course, it's just the top of the iceberg. There are many associated traits that some of us share and some of us don't share. And so I want to let you know more about the depth beyond the basic core. But keep in mind that the triangle is all doctors are really looking for when they make a diagnosis. There are other hallmark behaviors that they sometimes look for and that are kind of red flags. But that's the basic approach to it all. And so I want to tell you a lot about that. Three traits of Asperger syndrome is the monotropic focus. Mono meaning one, tropic, the track, the viewpoint. We love to be driven in one direction with our creative projects because our internal world completely fascinates us. It fascinates us a lot more than the external world. We love to create, whether it be music, literature, poetry, as a type of literary expression. We all have our own styles and ways of getting out what's within, and we feel driven to do that. It's not always easy for loved ones because they can't always come first. In fact, I've told every man in my life that you'll never be first. And, you know, they're not quite too happy about that. So now I choose Aspie men to date only because they also have the monotropic focus. And that's just the way it is. So, you might think that we're all introverted. That's incorrect. A lot of my friends are very gregarious and social, and sometimes I can be. Sometimes we're socially inappropriate, but a lot of us really love people, and even though our internal world is fascinating, we like to connect. And it's really very healthy for us to network because sometimes when we're into our interests, we neglect hygiene, we neglect food, we neglect sleep, and people. And I know I could be perfectly happy locking myself in a room for a month. I mean, I would just create. But it's not always the healthiest thing for us to do. Now, in the last video with the Cowardly Lion, I mentioned how a lot of us are afraid because of sensory difficulties. Not all of us have that, and a lot of people really retreat socially merely because they do prefer their own internal world. And so there's not always the fear. We're not all on anti-anxiety medications. And so I really wanted to clarify that point as well. Another trait that a lot of us, but not all of us, share is something called dyspraxia, or motor incoordination. This can often be seen as a hallmark of Asperger syndrome, but I've also known of gymnasts who have Asperger's. They don't have the balance and incoordination problems. So it's not true for everyone, but I know that I'm very dyspraxic. I bump into walls, I bump my head, I spill things, You know, I'm just not the most graceful human being in the world. But I'll tell you, too, that for every weakness I have a strength. Since I was a child, I was called a literary prodigy, and it may still be true. There's mathematical prodigies. It's not just prodigiousness, but it's having a strength in that one narrow area that can really save us and give us a future. And I want to tell you a little story here that you've already heard since you were a child. My mother brought this to me from New York when I was maybe 2nd or 3rd grade. And this is little Miss.Red Ridinghood, if you don't recognize her. You know, hey there, little Miss.Red Ridinghood, I see you looking good. I'm not going to sing the rest. I can't really sing all that well. But, if you remember the story, little Red Riding Hood goes to visit Grandma. Grandma is this very sweet, nurturing figure, full of love and light. And little Red Riding Hood wants to bring her special treats because she loves her so very much. Then comes the evil wolf who says, I am going to eat you, little Red Riding Hood. And what is exactly going on here? Well, we have Grandma, wolf. Grandma, wolf. Good, evil. Now, I want to point out that with Asperger syndrome, with every strength, there is a weakness. And there are many people strong in verbal skills or in math, and that's the key to our success. And Little Red Riding Hood is one hope. I mean, if you flip around in the back, there's nothing but Little Red Riding Hood. Deep down inside, there's a side she's ashamed of, and a side that she loves and looks up to. And this is true for each and every one of us. And so I really want to end on that note. And this is Laura Paxton with part 3 of Understanding Asperger Syndrome, signing off.